Hi guys, in this stage we are going to apply all the principles of design. I will show you how to create them so that when you want to create your own design, you'll be able to apply the principles in all your design. So let's get started. First, we have space. Space is talking about having white space around each element of your design. So let's say, for example, you have a brief that says 50% off on all purchase, then visit or place order www.dcl.com.ng. So this is something you are supposed to work on. As you can see, this is just like a text document. So for you to create a design, you want to add a white space or space on this design. I know some of you will be thinking of adding line spacing, which is not something that white space is talking about. It's not talking about this kind of space. You understand? We are still going to design it, but we are going to apply the rule of spacing. So now for you to apply the rule of spacing, let me remove this. Okay, let's say I want to add so this is one aspect of the design. So the software I'm using is Affinity. So as you can see, this is the design, and we have white space in between the elements. 50% off on all purchase. Place your order and the website. So this space here is what we call white space or spacing. So that is one um, principle of design that we are talking about, which is spacing. You have to have space around or in between your elements. So let's say you have a logo, you can place your logo here. You know, your logo can be here, and we still give room for spacing. You can also add other elements here. So that is what um, white space or spacing is talking about. So now let's talk about hierarchy. Hierarchy, as we discussed earlier, is talking about using your elements based on their order of importance. So as you can see in this design, we have 50%. Then after seeing this 50% of, you can go now and check other aspects of the design. Let's say we have the logo here. This is the logo, and we have some other text here. Let's say this is the phone number. So this is the phone number here. What hierarchy is telling us is that we should arrange it based on the order of importance. So if you are looking at this design now, I believe 50% off on all purchase will be the first thing that you will see on this design. Then you go back um to the website, then you get the phone contacts, then you also check the logo, that is the brand behind this discount. So that is what hierarchy is trying to tell us, that the first design you look at, then the second one, then the third one, and the last one is what the rule of hierarchy is trying to explain to us. So as a designer, always make sure you design in such a way that you have hierarchy in your design. Now let's go to repetition. So like we said earlier, repetition is something that help you create consistency when you use your elements, your visual elements consistently, or in a way that um get the audience to know that okay, this is the brand behind this particular element or design. Let me put it that way. So now let's say the brand color is red. So if your brand color is red, let me bring in an image. So this is your brand color, and you decided to use image also. And let's say this is your brand shape. This is the shape you usually use for you decided to be using for your brand. So let's say this is the kind of color you decide to use for your brand. And we have, let's say we have a logo here, and the name of, let's say the name of the company is Limits. That is the name of the brand. That's the logo of the brand. So this is the logo of the brand. So when you design for this brand and you want to create another design also, so repetition is telling us that the way you use it across different uh, platform consistently. Now this is the um, color. Then we use the color here also. So as you can see here, we have the placement of the logo at the top left corner of the design. In this design also, we also have the same thing. The color of the logo is at the top left hand side of the design. You can also see the color. We have red background here and we also have red text here. So when you use it consistently across different platforms, it is what is known as repetition in design. So when you follow this principle, it gives your work organization, it gives your work consistency, it gives your work, your design brand recognition. So that is what repetition is talking about. The next one is contrast. Contrast, as we said earlier, is when you give a distinction, a differentiation in your design. So let's show how you can use contrast in your design. So let's say we want to use something like this. This is an arrow. What we have here is known as contrast. This black image or icon on a blue background is a contrast because it is it is a distinction from the background. So now let's say we have the word good house. Okay, let me try and use something else. Like let me try and depict. Okay. So this is a contrast. So we have contrast here. We create a differentiation using a background. So the next principle of design we are going to apply on our design is balance. So as we discussed earlier, balance is when you try to create stability in your design. So as a designer, when you are arranging your elements, it is important to arrange in a way that one part of your design is not heavier than the other part, and that is where the rule of balance comes in. So let's say um let's work on this. Let's bring this image here. Let's copy this image. So let's say we have something like this, and then we have no, okay, I'm trying to use the text box. Okay, let me copy some text. So when you have arrangement like this, you can see that it is balanced. It is not heavy on the eye. Your user can easily see um what you are working on or the information you are trying to pass across. So this is what balance is trying to tell us, that one aspect of your design should not be heavier than the other aspect. And we have symmetrical and asymmetrical. So what we have here is what is known as symmetrical. So when you are creating your design, learn how to use this so that you can create a balance in your design. So you can use color, your shape, your image to create balance. When you are designing, you can use any of those elements to create balance in your design. So the next one is emphasis. So emphasis, as we discussed earlier, is when you make one aspect of your design or element a star of the design. And the reason why you are using one aspect of your design or one element in your design as a star is to use it as a focal point, as a focus, so that immediately your users see that design, they know that, oh, this is what this design is trying to tell us. For example, let me use this text: movement is key. So now you can see movement is key is like the part of your design that will create more emphasis on. So the immediately your audience sees this design, they will see the word key or movement is key. Is something that will capture their attention before they notice the other part of the design. So we are using movement is key as the star of our design. And the reason why we are using it is because that is what we want our audience to see first, the message we want our audience to see before they can now search for other aspect of the design for other information. So that is what emphasis is talking about. You can use your image also to create emphasis. You can use your shape. You can use your icon, your line. You can even use your background to create emphasis. So that is that on emphasis. The next one is movement. Movement. So let's apply the principle of movement in a design. Just like we said earlier that movement lead the eye. Movement lead the eye. So you can use image, your shape, your curve to create movement in your design. So let me use something like this for example. So as you can see, this is an example of um, movements based on the principles of design. As you can see in this design, I use a line to create the road and the path and the curve also. Then, when you see something like this, it will lead your eye from this beginning or from the top to the bottom. There are some other informations there. So this is what movement as a principle of design is talking about. So if you want to create your design, always learn how to use movements to inform your audience, to communicate with your audience. So this is how to use some of the principles of design. Whenever you want to design, it is important to apply some of these principles. There are some other principles also. You can research them and learn how to apply them in your design. Happy designing.